Democracy usually does not die with tanks in the street. Sometimes it dies wearing a suit, waving a flag, and telling you everything is perfectly legal. That is where illiberal democracy comes in. An illiberal democracy keeps the furniture of democracy. Elections, parliament, courts, media. Everybody points at the building and says, "See? Democracy." But inside, the wiring has been stripped out. The elections happen, but the opposition is harassed, jailed, banned, or buried under propaganda. The parliament passes laws, but mostly the laws the strong man wants. The courts exist, but they know which way the wind is blowing. The media exists, but independent outlets get threatened, bought, raided, sued, or turned into state-friendly puppets. That is Russia under Vladimir Putin. Russia has elections, courts, parliament, and media, but the system protects power. It does not limit it. That is not healthy democracy. That is democracy taxidermy. The shape is still there. The animal is dead. And that is the danger with Trumpism. The goal is not always to cancel elections outright. The smarter authoritarian move is to keep the election, but bend everything around it. Attack the press, purge the civil service, threaten prosecutors, pressure judges, make voting harder, claim every loss is fraud, reward loyalty over competence, punish dissent. You still have a republic on paper, but in practice, you have one-man rule with better stationery. So how do countries get pushed toward that? That is where hybrid warfare comes in. Hybrid warfare is conflict below the normal threshold of war. Not just tanks and missiles, hacking, leaks, troll farms, fake news sites, bot networks, dirty money, cyber attacks, and cultural wedge issues turned into psychological landmines. The goal is not always to make you believe one lie. Sometimes, the goal is to make you believe truth is impossible, to make citizens hate each other, to make elections feel rigged before anyone votes, to make experts look corrupt, courts look fake, journalists look like enemies, and democracy look like a scam. Russia has used this playbook against Western democracies for years. In 2016, Russian operatives used social media to pose as Americans, push inflammatory content, and exploit real divisions that already existed. They did not invent American racism, resentment, or paranoia. They found the open wound and rubbed Kremlin dirt into it. Brexit is another example, but be careful. Did Russia single-handedly cause Brexit? No. That is too clean and probably wrong. But did Russia benefit from chaos inside Europe and exploit British divisions online? Yes. Same with January 6th. Russia did not need to plan the attack on the Capitol. Trump and his movement built that fire themselves with the stolen election lie. But foreign adversaries love a burning house. They do not need to strike the match if Americans are already soaking the curtains in gasoline. That is hybrid warfare. It is the "I'm not touching you" kid from hell, except now he has bot accounts, hacked emails, dirty money, and a state intelligence service. He pokes, he whispers, he floods the zone, he makes everyone furious. Then, when the country starts tearing itself apart, he shrugs and says, "Wasn't me."
Hybrid warfare works best when the target country already has weak spots. Economic fear, racial resentment, distrust of institutions, culture war addiction, politicians willing to lie for power, citizens too tired to sort truth from sewage. Russia did not create Trumpism, but Russia understands Trumpism. A movement built on grievance, conspiracy, humiliation, and revenge is easy to amplify. Hybrid warfare weakens the immune system. Illiberal democracy is the infection that takes hold afterward. First, people stop trusting the press. Then, elections. Then, courts. Then, anyone outside the tribe. Eventually, they stop asking whether something is true. They only ask whether it helps their side. That is the moment democracy starts bleeding internally. The warning sign is when millions of people say, "Yes, he lies, but he lies for us. Yes, he breaks rules, but our enemies deserve it. Yes, he threatens people, but maybe that is what it takes." That is how democracy becomes illiberal. Not all at once, not with one election, not with one riot, but by turning every institution into a loyalty test. That is not patriotism. That is authoritarian cosplay with a flag pin. Democracy is not just elections. Elections are the scoreboard. Democracy is the rule book, the referees, the field, and the right to come back next season without getting arrested. Once those go, the election is just theater. And history has plenty of theater. The graves are usually backstage.
Now it's time for the throw button!